So today we are going to start the new topic, which is called the classes in Python programming language. Okay. So what is class? Class is a data structure which is used to perform specific task with its method and attributes. Okay. What's method? Method has a difference or the different property with the normal function. If the class possesses any function, we are calling the method. Otherwise, this is a function. What's the attribute? Attribute means that we have the global variable or local variable or the something like that. Apart from the any function or the method within a class, we are calling attributes. Okay. So how we can define or how we can create the syntax of these terms, the class name, and we can give the statements in here. Okay. That's all. Okay. Any question? If there's no question, and then we will create the example 1 in order to understand that we should add the class keyword in here. This is a special keyword to define any class in Python programming language, just like the C or C++ programming language. And we can call it the sample, and we can print the sample class in here. Okay. And also we can create the another functions in here, but we need to give the self keywords in here. Print foo, and also def bar self print bar. Okay. What's the meaning of the self? Self is just like to the this keyword in C++. Okay. This possessed the whole elements of the this class, the sample class, and so we can utilize this self keywords in order to reach out to any function within or defined in the sample class. Okay, and so if I run this code, and then we will have the sample class. But why? Firstly, you need to understand that the Python is an interpreted programming language, which means that every line is interpreted by the C Python or some another interpreter program. Okay, and so if we define this definition, and so the print class must always be written on the terminal page. Okay, if I delete this function in here, so we don't have any output at the terminal. Okay, but if we print any function in here, just like this one, or some properties or the methods in here, or the process, and so this is written on on terminal, and so this is the only sample class is called for this case. But in C++, you don't have any property just like this one. Okay. If you write the print under the class sample or as a statement in here, and so this is also printed in here. Okay. So we need to continue another examples in here. So firstly, the class sample can be defined in here, and so x is equals to 10, and after that def foo with the self keyword, the print foo. Okay, or def bar, we need to give the self keyword in here, the print bar. Okay. And after that we can call it the print x. just like this one. If I run this code and then the x or the print x is calling in here, x is equals to the 10 because we assign this variable at the upper top of the the foo function. And so this is the definition of the function, and we can call this function, but until we called this function, they cannot be processed or proceed by the interpreter. But if I choose the to define the x is equals to the 10, and so after that we can call or write any statement in here to be processed on the on the Python interpreter. You need to know that. And so we can conclude that the print x is called even if it is in class, okay? Because everything is class in the Python programming language. Just remember that we have the integer value or double value or float value or str value. These are the natural type of the Python, but in the high level programming language or the object oriented programming language, everything must drive the basic object class, which means that everything is class or is class instant or class variable. Just remember that, okay? Okay, Lion, we can test it just like this one. I think this is your question, right? Is that true? Your case, Lion? This is what you are asking for? Huh. Just this one. Okay, and so the foo is calling. But there's no indication or the relation between this foo and this foo. This is a simple variable which is given in the in this text. Okay, this is a str value. This is another variable in here. Do you get it? Okay. So the x3 we can call the to this one class sample. We can give the pass. Just remember the pass. What's the meaning of the pass, Lion or the other guys? Could you tell me what's the purpose of the pass? Just remember the C or C++ programming language. Yes, it is just like to dot comma operator. Okay, and so if we call this times, and so we can print the type of the sample because the sample must drive another class in here, but the sample is its own properties. Okay, and so if I run this code and then the sample is called the class of type, which means that the sample is derived from from another type, or the general name of the classes is given in the Python programming language as a called the type. Okay, and so what about this one? If we call the sample in here, just like the sample, if we are using to open and close the function operator in here, and so we can create the class instance in here. But what is the type of these terms? If I run this code, just see that first of all, the first one, class sample, is in the type of the type. Okay, but in the second place we will have the main dot sample class. Okay, because this instance or the variable which is created by the sample class, and so this type is equals to the main dot sample, because it has own class feature, but this is what it's own or derived from the type class. Okay, this type class is the main class for the what, for everything written on the Python programming language. Okay, any question? So in the fourth place, we can derive the what, the sample class, and therefore we should call it the self, the print foo. Okay, and also def bar can be defined with the self, and the print bar can be given in here. Okay, and so a can be built with the what, a sample constructor, and a foo can be called and b foo can be called by using the what, the dot operator. Okay, but this is the what, this is the a. And so if I run this code, and then we will have the what, the foo and the bar in here. Okay, and so in order to reach the any elements within a class, and so we need to what, the a must be used because it's the samples or the what, the instance or the variables of the sample. Okay, and so this a possesses the what, the foo and the bar variable. Okay, or the functions in here. And so we can conclude that the in class each method has one parameter which we call to self. Okay, and in the self, it's the objects of class, like this keyword in CPP, right? And so this a possess to what, the self keyword in here, and so this foo can be called based on the self keyword because the self is transmitted into the what, into the a, and so this self possess to what, the bar and foo as well. Okay, for example, if I choose the self dot in here, and so foo can be called in here just like this one. See, because the self reaches the whole the elements and the functions in the class. Okay, and so this print bar and foo are written based on what, the a times a dot foo and a dot bar. Okay, but the self reaches the every element, every function, every methods within a class. Okay, do you get it, this property? What if I call the foo in here? See, name foo is not defined, but why? Not defined in bar. Okay, this is a good answer, but what if I call the foo in here? Yes, defined in the sample. But why? See, sample foo missing one required positional argument with the self, right? This is just like the what, it's not a syntax error but a semantic error. Okay, but what about the passing the self in here? Just see that this self is not defined in here, but if I choose the sample self, so this sample is not defined in here also. Okay, and so this is also an error. Okay, you need to understand that if you want to use the what, the any function or the any property or the any attributes within a class, we need to pass to what, the self keyword, but we couldn't use the self just like this one. We cannot call this value in here. Okay. What about this one? Class sample def foo self and print sample foo. Okay, and class memple def foo self the print memple foo. Okay, s defined with the sample, m defined with the memple. Okay, and s foo and m foo can be called in here. Okay, and so if I run this code, we will have the sample foo and memple foo in here. Okay, because this foo and this foo are defined in the different classes. Okay, and so we can write the same name with the what? With another class. We can define it. But what about this one? If this is a class, just remember that the class is just an address in Python, which means that it is a variable, guys, right? And so if it's a variable with an address, and so we can also sample foo and memple foo in here, just like this one. See, there's no syntax error, but if I run this code, and then we will have the sample.foo missing one required positional arguments, which is called the self. See, normally there's no syntax error in here, but if we run this code in the runtime, we will have error, just like this one. And so how we can solve this problem? Yara. Anyone knows? Type self, but how we can pass these arguments into here? Just see that this sample constructor creates two class elements, which means that its own self keyword. And so if we pass the s in here, and if we pass the m, and so self is passing as well the sample and memple in here. See? Sample foo, memple foo, right? Do you get it? It is just like the passing self property to the class or function, right? Because this s creates only the self keyword, and so this self is related to the what? To the sample, just like in the C or C++ programming language. What do you mean, Efe? Different letters. Just see that. M and S. In this case, we will have to what? Sample foo calls the sample foo. This is the memple foo. There's nothing wrong with this utilization because the sample possesses the foo function, the definition of these terms. Okay, which means that if we pass any self in here, so this self filled with the what? With the sample methods in here. No, this is an error in here because the A and B is not defined in here. This is an error because the A and B just not defined. Okay. Okay. These are the basic properties of the class in the Python, and these are important to analyze your code based on these informations. Okay. And so in this case we need to continue with the another topics. Declaration of variables. Okay, These are the importance because we have another scope in here, class scope. But we have also global scope and the class scope. And just remember that we have also local scope, right? In the previous lesson, we have talked about it, okay? And so, how we can analyze these codes or how we can learn these properties in here? X 6. For example, we can define the x10. What is the type of this variable in here? Is it the local or global or something like that? Okay, global, right? And so we can define the class sample in here. And so as well, y is equals to the 20. And so the print x and print y can be called in here, okay? And also the foo with the self keyword, which is given with what, the 30, okay? And so the print z and also print sample y can be called in here, okay? What happens if I run this code? What is the output of this code right now? If I run this code, what values are seen on the page? Yes, Mustafa. If I run this code, see 10 and 20 are seen on the terminal because we have the print x and y values. This is a method, but this method cannot be processed with the with the sample class. Just remember the previous examples. These are written on this page. The x is coming from the global, y is coming from the class scope in here. And so, what is the output of this code right now? Yes, 10, 20, 10. And also, what is the output of this code? The sample y. Just think about it. Yes. And so, S is created with the sample these times. And so, also as foo is called in here. See, this is 3020 in here, just like this one, because this function is also calling in here. And so, this y is a class property, class scope, okay? But this is local property, local scope is current in here, okay? For example, if I choose the call this one print z. If I run this code, we will have error, but sample z, this is also error, right? Because the sample cannot be seen by itself, okay? But if I choose the self z in here, see, we cannot pass this value because the self cannot be seen by the sample class in here. It's just the normal arguments, and it must be created with the with the s value in here, okay? So, in the 7th examples, x is equals to 100 and class sample is given in here x 200 and therefore self x 300 and print x, print x, print or print x. What happens if I run this code right now? $200 and 100. Okay, because the print x is defined or called in the class of sample in here. Firstly, This is called. And after that, this print x is called, right? And so what about this one? S is equals to the sample, and S few can be called in here. And so what is the output of this code? See, we have 200 in here in the first place, and so this is the what? 200. And after that, this is the 100, and after that, this is the 300. But we have to what? 3 different x values in here, just like this one, right? Do you get it? This property, this is important for the what? The currency of the variable definition in the class or global scope or local scope, guys. Okay. What about this one? For example, we can create the class point in here, and we can just the pass, okay? And so we can create the pt function in here, just like this one, and so ptx is equals to the 10, pty is equals to the 20. What happens if I run this code? What happened? Yes, x and y is the new class variables, because in the Python, unlike the C++ or the Java, instance attributes are created, okay? And so this point x possess these properties, okay? And so the print x and y and format ptx pty, okay? And so we can see these values in here, right? But this is only included into the pt variable. How we can test it? See, we can create another example in here, class sample pass, okay? And s1 is equals to the sample s1x 10, s1 y 20, okay? And also we can print these values in here, x and y, s1 s1, okay? And so if I run this code, we will have the 10 and 20. But what about this one? s2 sample in here. And so this s2 can be built with what? The s2 and s2. What happens if I run this code? See, we don't have the sample object has no attribute to the x in here, or we can just see that this s1 possess only x and y, not the class one, okay? This is the instance attributes. Instance attributes, okay? This class does not have the x and y. X and y is not a common property in here. What's the type of the s1 and s2? S1 and s2 is the sample, but the s1 additionally possess the x and y in here. Yara. Bu instance, this is the instance attributes, not the class attributes. These are different properties, different features, guys. Okay, and so S1A can be defined with the 30, S2B may be defined with the Ali or Yara. Okay, and so A and B can be given in here. This is not the S. S2. See? This is the A, this is the B. And so these are the individual property for only S1 and S2, not the class property. Do you get it? The difference between the instance attributes or the class attributes in here? Type of S1 and S2 are the sample. Okay? Yeah. These are important because if you want to design your class, every common points should be included in the class sample. But in the Python, apart from the C++ programming language, we can add instance attributes just like this one. Okay? These are not common properties for only to the instant properties. Okay? But see that we can build the point class in here, and def set self should always be contained in here, x and y, and self x is equals to x and self y is equals to the y. Okay, and def disp self should also be given in here, print self x and self y. Okay, so pt1 is equals to the point, pt2 is equals to the point. Okay, for example, the pt1 set 10 and 20, pt2 set 30 and 40. Okay, pt1 disp, pt2 disp. Okay, if I run this code, and then we will have the 10, 20, 30, 40 as individual properties of the pt1 and pt2, but the variables of the x and y are common for every properties in here, just like this one. Okay, this is the instant attributes, but this is the x and y are the common attributes for this case. Okay, or we can conclude that if we want to share the whole attributes for the class elements, we can use self. Okay, this self is just like this keyword, but this keywords contains the different values, just like the 30, 40 or 20 or 10, but this x and y are the common property for the every element or variables which is defined by the point class. Okay. Any question? Do you get it, guys? Or we can have the some properties in here. Double underscore term. Anyone knows the double underscore term in Python? Just like the new, just like the init. This is like the constructor in C++. Okay. For example, the class sample can be built with the def init, just like this one. If I put this one, and so this init is the own properties or the functions for a given the sample class. Okay, so this init is just like constructor, but we don't need to use just like in the C++. Okay, and so this self is given in here, and return value is the none, but we can delete it. Okay, this is automatically called, so every object possesses these features in here. For example, self A 10, self B is 20. Okay, we can create the self keywords in here, and so the def disp self print self A and self B. Okay, so X is sample can be called in here just like this one. And so if I run this code, and then we will have the no outputs in here, but if I choose the X disp value, see 10 and 20 is seen on terminal. Do you get it? This init function automatically calls based on the creation of the any variables in here. Okay, do you get it? Or we can prove this function body in here just like this one. Print init function is code. If I run this code and just see that, if I run, and so we don't have any output in here, but if I call just only the X is equals to the sample, see, init function is called is seen on the terminal, right? Yes, we can pass, but not now. I will show you how you can pass these variables. Lion. Do you get it? The properties of the init function. If we are creating any variable in here, and so we always call this init function, even if we are right or not right on these properties. Do you get it, Lion? I will explain your question in the later examples. We will create it, okay? So, what about this one? For the lion, 12 can call the class sample in here and def init A and B, okay? And so the self A is equals to A, self B is equals to the B, okay? And def disp self and the print self A and self B, okay? X sample 10 and 20, and X disp can be called in here just like this one. If I run this code, lion, see 10 and 20 is passed into the into the X values in here, okay? Okay, and so let's take a break, and at the 2 we have 20 minutes break in here just like this one, and so we will start another lesson.